Put AT&T up against a Verizon or up against what's now T-Mobile, Sprint combined, and you say to yourself, do they have a full opportunity to do it? Or I mean, what are they going to have to do in terms of investing in bandwidth and to get there?
Well, they look very similar now, and frankly, even the growth rates look similar. I mean, T-Mobile under John Ledger, he changed the company and changed the industry, frankly. But now you look at T-Mobile post Sprint, and the revenue growth rates look very similar. In fact, given that AT&T has effectively stolen Dish as a wholesale customer away from T-Mobile, who had a spat with Charlie Ergen, T-Mobile or AT&T has the opportunity to outgrow T-Mobile in terms of service revenue growth. And they certainly, I think, have a very good opportunity to do the same with Verizon. So the question is okay, AT&T has shed all the bad stuff. They're a connectivity company. They're growing at the same growth rate. They're spending, now that they've cut the dividend, less of their free cash flow on dividends than Verizon is. Why shouldn't they trade at parity, if not higher than where Verizon is on a dividend yield?
And I got to get to Sarah, but answer your own question. Why?
There's no reason. It's just this legacy view that AT&T is, the management team is bad, and that they have the quality of free cash flow is less, or the growth rate's lower because Verizon has done a great job historically at investing in LTE. But this is a new era. This is a 5G era, and Verizon themselves made mistakes in terms of betting on millimeter wave spectrum, and they had to make up for that by spending $55 billion in an auction. So there's mistakes all around, and I think people need to give AT&T's management team, I think, a little leeway here to see this new strategy, and whether if they can deliver on this growth that's equal, if not better than their peers, then they shouldn't really be trading at a discount.
Sarah, do they deserve the leeway? Do they deserve a honeymoon of sorts in this new world?
I mean, a little bit. If you look at their fundamentals, Andrew, we were talking about this last quarter. Their postpaid wireless subscription numbers were up at, I think, a 10-year high last quarter. So the company's fundamentals, the business that they're really core in, is actually doing okay. The problem is, one, I think a lot of people, to Walt's point, are not looking at the stock and thinking that the fundamental businesses, wireless, mobility, are strong and long-term. They're looking at the stock and they're freaked out that the dividend is being cut. There's a lot of uncertainty. Remember, that dividend cut is happening in 2022. So between now and then, the stock is kind of on a hold in a stagnant mode because we don't really know what's going to happen. And then the last big thing for them is telecoms become hyper competitive. Now that Verizon has shed its media assets, they're going to be doubling down, also T-Mobile, on buying up more spectrum. Now, of course, AT&T is highly levered. It's going to be hard for them to be as competitive in some of those auctions. So I think you're just going to see this stock continue to go on a downward decline, not necessarily because they don't, deserve a shot to see how their fundamentals continue to boost in the next 2 quarters, but because there's just so much uncertainty before that dividend cut in 2022.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.